Hey, it's Lowry Smith of the CommanderSmiths here with Switcheroo. Today gonna be working through 3 or 4 decks. Sup, Jesus? Hey, Paul. Thanks for joining. Um, CommanderSmiths. Well, all right. Blah blah blah. Gonna be going through about 3 to 4 of my decks. Depends. Normally I do a little pregame, but I just decided to do this today. I'm gonna go with Feather, Alela, Oscar, and Umbris. Umbris will probably be the last one. Yeah. And then so if I get to that, it's not gonna go over 2 hours. Um and just looking to update some decks. If you're new here, the Commander Smiths is a podcast that generally records live on YouTube Monday nights. We put out the audio on Wednesdays, a bit more cleaner. Sub Renshai, a little bit cleaner, a little bit cut up. Not really though. Is pretty. It's just getting out any burps and ball scratches and stuff like that. We have a couple of games where Adam tries to read myself. It's called Stump the Smith Savant, but some flavor text of a card, and I have to guess it. And generally, Renshai gets it before I do, but he's just in the chat. And people can talk back and forth. We have a staple versus where we talk about 2 similar but very different cards generally, and we have people vote on it. And then this week we're going to be talking about the Adam does all right reading. Come on. um so there you go. We have a Patreon. If you want to become a patron, we give away proxies, and Patreon would have more information on that. You'll see some of the proxies in these decks. Also, we have a Discord for at least $1. You can join the Discord, and it's a bunch of good peoples. Adam has COVID, so we will record the podcast whenever we can. We'll see when it happens. And hopefully he records or recovers quickly. All right. I think everybody, all right, that's a lot of decks that are going to try and work on. Um I generally do 4. I generally do 4 at this point. I kind of have, it's about a half hour per deck. I have the cards set aside, and in this feather one, it might not be the best. Um because I've just been throwing cards in there for a really long time, and I hardly even know what's there. So it might just be quick, might be short. This feather deck is not too crazy, but or like offbeat, I would say, but it's still really fun and one of my more powerful decks. We don't run combo, and we generally don't run tutors. I forgot. That's okay. Give me a second. A lot less glare that way. Overhead lights are not good for sleeves. All right, so feather is red, white, white, 3/4 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard. As it resolves, if you do, return to your hand at the beginning of your next end step. And so this is it's a combat trick deck that targets feather or whatever other creatures on the board. Uh, Strong removal in here as well. It's a really fun deck. I don't play it nearly as much. I mean, it's becoming 4 years old at this point. It probably is 4 years old whenever War of the Spark came out, which is crazy to think about on its own. But, so yeah, but it's fairly unique to Magic. There's not a lot of or to Commander, there's not a lot of combat trick decks, and so it feels very different than a lot of other things. Let's check the card. Let's go through the deck just really quick. Magda's a tutor. And I mean, we allow for like higher power decks and stuff like that, which is going to have some tutors or whatever. But generally, we just go for like efficiency and drawing a bunch. Or as a saga, that's one you got to work at. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, just going through the deck really quick, and then we'll go from there, adding in the cards. Get some sleeves from within the last decade. You always pick on me about my sleeves. Yes, these are older sleeves. They are, but they're on theme. They're an angel for an angel. You're an angel too, Hockey. Thanks for joining. Also remember to hit that like button. That is greatly appreciated. And if you're new, be willing to subscribe. That'd be great. It'd be helpful. We're getting closer and closer to that 1,000 sub mark, and that'd be great. And what else is there? If you're not watching this live, I suggest putting it at 1.5 speed. It allows you to. I'm not a fast talker. You'll catch it all, and it'll save you some time. All right, starting feather. Magus of the Moat is just there to stop creatures from overwhelming me. So creatures without flying can't attack. Solid in here. Fight is one is just one of those combat tricks. Gives indestructible. Gives +1/+1. It's a nice little pump, so it works. God's Willing is a protection pump spell. Chromatic Lantern allows me to fix my mana. Now you'd be like, well, this is just two colored deck. It's pretty simple. But the nice thing about it in here is you have a bunch of spells that are red and white, and you want to be able to cast them almost on every turn. And so having your mana to be able to fix that red or white is really, really nice. Sword of Feast and Famine is just being able to untap your lands is fantastic. Fall of the Hammer is going to be repeatable removal. Aether Flux Reservoir is life gain and kill shots. Very good in here. Mirrorwing Dragon creates a lot of copies because you target Mirrorwing and then it goes to all of your creatures and then you'll get it back. Mavinda allows you to recast some of these combat tricks from the graveyard and then they go back into your hand instead of actually being exiled. Fantastic that way. Livewire Lash, if it's equipped, whenever you target that creature, it deals 2 damage to a creature or player, and so you start picking stuff off. It's pretty awesome in here too. Stormkill and Artist is going to get you a lot of treasures every time you cast something. Uh, a deck without tutors is always so foreign to me. It could be a meta thing, I guess, but in my meta, tutors rarely are used to find wins. Tutors are used to find the best way to interact with. Well, I mean, that's a little bit of the thing. The tutors are nice, but what they do, our philosophy a little bit is that it creates repetition in your decks. And so like gameplay seems very similar when you're able to go and find the same card over and over if you so wish. And that can be a removal spell or a counter spell or even a win con, just being able to do the same thing at a consistent basis is good. You know what I mean? It's really good, but we're also looking for different game experiences from game to game. And what we were finding was, our games were ending within 45 minutes. We kind of knew what was going on. You even had it just sped up the game really quick. Find a fuel to need to go off or find ways to stop others to be able to actually make the deck fire. Yeah. No, no, no. I get it. Um, so it's something more about just gameplay and having different games every time for us. It's not that it does make it worse. And so it is powering down the deck a bit, but we still use plenty of powerful cards. Aria Flame is in here too. You're casting a lot of spells, so it's just going to be able to dome people. Sheltering Light is a protective spell. Firebrand Archer is just going to deal damage to everybody at a quick pace. Impact Resonance is removal. Sunforger is a tutor. It's expensive. And it's always been expensive. And so I don't know if it's going to make it in here or not. I've just had Adam use it against me and I'm like, I want to use it. That a-hole. Sensei's top in almost all of my decks. Comet Storm is great removal that I can just peg one of my creatures and do it again the next turn. Solemn for ramp. Strength of Arms is a pump slash token creator, not necessarily a protection spell, but I was finding that I might have wanted more creatures, and so this was a way to do it. Dusk Corona makes Feather unblockable. Angel Fire Ignition is a pump spell, protection spell. It is sorcery speed, but the flashback, it allows you to be able to have it go in the graveyard, do the flashback, and you can have Feather's ability exile it instead of the flashback. Swords of Plowshare is fantastic removal. All right. Borrow Signet for ramp. Young Pyromancer for token creation. Yeah. Yeah. Aria of Flame is pretty sweet. Talisman of Conviction is ramp. Fist of Flame is draw along with Pump Spell. Burrow's Charm is good to double strike and then also for protection if needed. Thermal Alchemist is dealing everybody damage. This is scrying and pumping every time you cast an instant or sorcery. Defiant Strike is drawing a card. Pump Spell. Duger Hedgemade is removal. Um, my play group doesn't even discuss really. Most of us don't use tutors, but don't care if anybody wants to. Yeah. No, and normally when we talk about like us, it's not necessarily our play group either. It's just what we do. We don't, we kind of know who in our play group is going to have the stronger deck or the quicker deck. And, like when you know who you're playing against, you're able to adjust your play style in that accord. And generally it is kill a smith anyway. Um, but I mean, I, again, and also if you're playing in a play group, and I know Jesus has a much stronger, like CEDH levelness, and I would not suggest making decks the way that we do if you're playing CEDH. At 18 years, geez, that's lucky. That's a good play group there. So, but if you're random, I mean, or if you're looking to have your play group power down or power up, I'd say check out our deck styles. Um, Smothering Tithe is fantastic, obviously. Reckless Rage is repeatable removal. Fell of the Mighty targets your creatures. It's repeatable removal. Expedite is draw. Darksteel Mirror is a nice blocker, along with being able to target it with those burn spells to get repeatable removal. Heat Shimmer is just a copy. It's kind of a loose. I like it, but it's loose. The White Orchid and Loyal Warhound are there for mana. Psychotic Fury, double strike drawing a card. Soul's Fire is great removal slash burn. Crimson Wisps is haste, drawing cards. And then the last little bit, Balefire Liege gets moving. It pumps Feather +2/+2, and then you start gaining life and dealing damage. Chandra's Ignition is repeatable Wrath. Eerie Interlude is repeatable protection slash blinkage. Don't lose any power by not playing tutors. They run a lot of card draw to make up for it. Yeah, and that's generally what we do is instead of the tutors, we try and draw a ton more cards, which adds the extra benefit of almost like me, I almost never get mana screwed. Like I'm able to find my ramp better. I'm able to find my land drops better. I'm able to find removal better. It's not that like specific finding whatever you want. It's that you always kind of have a full grip and you're always able to do something for the most part. Sometimes you just didn't draw into your removal and you have more ramp and creatures and an aggressive plan, but being able to almost always do something is what I'm looking to do. Uh, all right, Renshai is saying, playing against us, we can definitely hang in high power games, and I think that's accurate. I don't think we're CEDH by any means, but I think we're fairly high powered. Ryan saying that I always have a full grip and I just get out fast and it just goes. Yeah, that's a little bit of what I try to do. In our game on Sunday, I did run out with Jedit, and that was unfortunate. And I actually added in 2 cards to allow me to keep on drawing cards. And Hockey is his normal positive self. Sword of the Animus is there for the ramp. Veilstone Amulet is nice. Good for you. Uh, Nice protection. Soul Ring is ramp. Um, Again, trying to control really aggressive decks with Island Sanctuary here. And oftentimes I'm drawing enough cards anyway when the engine of Feather is going, then I can skip this to have it activate. And nice and cheap. Relay's Fury is repeatable mass removal. Monastery Mentor is just getting a few more tokens out there on the board. Keeper of the Court is nice because again, getting more creatures is nice, and if I'm falling behind on land, it does that as well. It does a lot of good work here. Zada is good to just get a lot of draw off of those cantrip spells. It makes a bunch of copies. Unleash Fury makes the deck a little bit more aggressive and repeatable. Electrostatic Field is dealing 1 damage to each player. Swiftfoot Boots for protection. Intimidation Bolt is there for I generally other creatures can't attack this turn. And so you ping your own guy and then nobody can attack you. If that's the way it's kinda going. Multiple attacks are repeatable. Silent Arbiter, again, is controlling who and how much can attack you. Fiery Confluence is just there for kind of like a little bit of mass removal. This might be a weak card to identify in the deck. It's very flexible, and I like it, because I can target a Darksteel Mirror with this and then get it back, but we'll see. Path to Exile is fantastic. Wear and Tear is fantastic. All right. I am big time falling behind. That's how my sex life goes. Oh boy. Paul. Renshai, if you have a full hand, you will more than likely have an answer for almost anything. Paul saying, all my decks are glass cannons. Jesus, I'm not saying that decks can't hang. That's not what I'm insinuating at all. I'm saying I've never understood the rhetoric of tutors make games repetitive. Not if you don't build a good deck, Renshai. I haven't, Jesus, I haven't looked at feathers since when I built the deck a few years ago. Wonder if there's new tech I haven't seen in the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, there isn't a whole ton. Uh, we'll see what's here. Let's see if we can got a handful of cards here. Let's see if we can get that in there. All right, Jaya is here. What is this going to be doing? I remember. I don't remember what it said. Oh, I gotta adjust this real quick. Where are we at? All right. I'm not going to put Plaza of Heroes in, but I think it's Plaza of Heroes is fantastic, and I do when I'm really focused on like needing to protect the commander. I think that works great. Just not going in this time. All right, Jaya Planeswalker 4 abilities. Get to make a monk token with prowess, so they can get huge in here. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Not too bad. It's a little bit of card draw. Uh, -2, choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. Eh, that one's lackluster. You get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for that copy. That's also pretty meh. I'm not going to try too hard on getting that one in. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. All right, let's talk about it. Jesus. Dreadhorde Arcanist. I have had this in there before and I've taken it out and I'm trying to fit it back in, but it's Trample. Whenever it attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to Dreadhorde DA's power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put in the graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Also, the Feather of Exile effect happens. You can stack it however you want, and you can get that card back. So it's pretty nice. My thought with it beforehand was it being a 1/3 and having to attack probably made it like kind of killed it, but I never really got to play it before I cut it. Sentinel Tower, 4 mana artifact. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell is cast during your turn, it deals damage to any target equal to 1 plus the number of instant and sorcery spells you cast before the spell is turn. So casting a bunch of spells should be able to get it. I saw number 2 do this with his Chun Li, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try and put that in there. Yeah, yeah. So Black Rising, thanks for joining, man. Twinferno. Choose one. You may when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets or target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. So it's nice to double up on some things sometimes, and um, being able to give feather double strike is nice too. We'll see if that makes it. There's some competition in that spot. I don't know how well that's going to go in. Boon of Safety, 1 white instant. Put a shield counter on target creature, so if it would be dealt damage or destroyed, remove a shield counter from it instead. And then it's scry 1. So it's basically like saying that it can't be destroyed. You get the scry 1. It doesn't really have a pump with it. We'll see if there's a fit in there. Tajik, Blade of Legion is just there for a 4 mana indestructible 2/2. It's kind of nice. We'll see if it makes it in there or not. I don't remember why Elspeth would go in. I have not looked at this since I opened it. Okay, Elspeth Resplendent. Choose up to one target creature, put a 1/1 counter and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance on it. That ain't too bad. You know, clearly I'm not going to put flying on Feather, but lifelink or vigilance would be nice. You know, so you do that twice at least. And then -3, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield with a shield counter on it. Put the rest on the bottom. If I'm desperate, I guess. Create 5/3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying. I think I'm going to cut this right away. I don't think it does enough for 5 mana. I like the idea of it, but I don't think it does enough in this deck. Double flying. Space Marine Scout, 3 mana, 2/1 first strike vigilance. And when it ETBs, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a plains card, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Just like the Loyal Warhound and the Knight, it's nice to have that in there. Dragon's Rage Channeler, basically being able to surveil and dig nicely. So we'll see. And then there's enough like graveyard interaction in here now, especially if Dreadhorde goes in there. That'd be the third piece, I believe, that can bring stuff back from the graveyard. Could be a really nice addition. Rabble Rousing. It's 5 mana enchantment. Whenever you attack with one or more creatures, create that many 1/1 green and white citizens. I like it. I think I'm gonna cut that as well. Like 5 mana is a lot. That's a big turn. I don't think it fits in here with that. Titan Strength, I believe this has probably been in there. There's a lot of scrying to choose from, and generally just drawing a card is just better. So, but I think I was thinking that Feather needs to get a little bit more aggressive. That +3/+1 ain't bad. And then Shenanigans. Destroy target artifacts. And then it has Dredge 1. We'll see. All right. Let's see here. Let me get a little drink in. Just water. Let's see here. Go through the deck decently quick. See if there's any comparables. No, I'd rather play by or Ryan's asking about Shattering Spree. I'd rather play by force. Shattering Spree is basically mono red in my mind. I could be wrong, but and I'm still not running by force in here. So, but it's probably not a bad idea. I don't have enough artifact creatures that would be worth like recasting. Wear and Tear, being able to artifacts and enchantments. I really like that. I didn't have a problem with it. Path, I didn't have a problem with. Fiery Confluence was a weak card in my mind, so I should have probably picked it out when we were going. I like Silent Arbiter, Seize the Day, Intimidation Bolt, Swiftfoot, Field, Unleash Fury. I didn't hate. The 2 mana's a little rough. Double power of target creature until end of turn, but it did make things really aggressive. And really nice for like Might be weak. We'll see. I like it because of how aggressive it is, but it might not be good enough. Zada, Keeper, I like that. Monastery Mentor, yeah. Really's Fury. Island Sanctuary is only iffy. Like, I think I'm going to cut Shenanigans. I don't think it's going to work in here. And also, I think I lost enthusiasm for Jaya. I don't think that's going to go in here either. The deck is just so low to the ground. Like, Tajik is maybe outside the realm there. Island Sanctuary I'm okay with. I believe Sol Ring I like. Veilstone Amulet. Sword. Eerie. Chandra. Bellfire Liege does some work. I kind of like that, even if it's at 5, but really, when it comes down, it really helps you start moving forward. All right, Crimson, Souls, Fire is real aggressive. I don't think there's anything that competes with that. Nah, we good. So the question ends up being like, is Twinferno better than Psychotic Fury? And drawing a card is so darn good. But only being able to target multicolored creatures, like if Feather's getting removed, I don't have much there. So that's the up and down. And I wonder if like Titan Strength is just better. I don't know. That feels weird. And the White Orchid and Loyal, I like both of those still. Heat Shimmer, like I said, was kind of weak in here, so we'll give that a shot. I like Dark Steel Mirror. It allows me to just like have my removal aim at it as long as it, release Fury. It survives the Chandra's Ignition. It does some really good work. Expedite, Fell of the Mighty, Reckless Rage has been good. Smothering Tithe. Now, I know everybody's going to be like, do not cut this. But I think there is like a fair-ish thinking route with Space Marine Scout. Nah, no. We're doing Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe is just way too good. Don't you dare. Yeah, it's way too good in this deck. Being able to get rid of treasures for just like those really cheap instants and get those triggers is really good. I don't think I'm actually going to cut it in this deck. I think it's quite good. Hedge Mage is nice removal. So Defiant Strike is drawing. Now, technically, this is like a different version of like Dragon Rage Channeler. I still like it. I kind of like them both. I don't really want to get rid of that. All right, night, Jesus. Have a good one. Yeah, Smothering Tithe is just super good. I just try. It's one of those cards that I look at and go like, could I get something else in here, um, to either power it down or different gameplay and stuff like that. Thermo, Boros Charm is nice. That is a double striker. We've already talked about that. Fist of Flame is nice. Talisman, Young Pyromancer, Signet, Swords, Angel Fire Ignition. Um, well, Jesus, the other one is a nice blocker at the beginning of a game, and I think you're underappreciating the Flame Speaker. Maybe it's not Flame Speaker, but where's that bad boy? I like that one a lot, and I think it's underappreciated at the very least. I think this is doing a lot. Okay, 2 counters on target creature. It gains vigilance, trample, lifelink, indestructible, and haste until. That's doing a lot. I'm happy with that. Cut Smothering Tithe and replace it with Monologue Tax. You know what? It might be that Monologue Tax just deserves maybe a different spot rather than like the Space Marine Scout. But I Monologue Tax, I don't hate it nearly as much, but I do end up cutting it. Like it isn't good enough. All right. Do we have any tokens? Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control an equipment, if you control an equipment, I don't have a lot of those. That's questionable. Solemn, Comet Storm, top, Sunforger. I'm willing to look at. Impact Resonance is crazy. 1 damage. Sheltering Light is great. Aria Flame is work. Storm Killing Artist. Lavawire Lash. Mavinda. Mirror Wing. Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah. Sword of Feast and Famine is so good. So good. God's Willing. All right, let's reread this. Okay, God's Willing is target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Scry 1. Maybe. All right. Magus. I like Magus. All right. Fight is 1. Target human creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible. Target non-human creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn. So basically, it's Feather is +1/+1 indestructible. And if I got a human on play, that also gets indestructible. It looks like there's enough chances here. All right. Let's look at this one right here. We're looking at Boon of Safety. It's putting a shield counter on target creature, and then you scry 1. And God's Willing is target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Scry 1. There aren't neither of them really pump, which is fine. It's like a nice protection spell. This doesn't deal with exiled. This allows me to be like, oh, you're gonna path protection from white, right? But then it stops me on my chain. They both scry 1. That's why like 1 white, scry 1 instant protection spells. I like them. Questionable. Okay. I like God's Willing enough to keep it. You know what I'm thinking? I might switch Space Marine in for let's see here, for Solemn. That might be an idea. All right. I don't hate that idea. All right, let's focus on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Sunforger is expensive. It allows you to kind of keep on going. That might be all right to like replace it with Sentinel Tower. Like I was saying, it's a tutor and it's really expensive, and I don't really get there in this deck. Sentinel Tower can do a lot of damage, a little bit on theme because of those deal damage to everybody things. Where is that example? So it's kind of like another Aria of Flame, basically, or Firebrand Archer. So I don't dislike that idea right there. Let's see here. Heat Shimmer is a fun one for sure. We'll see Psychotic Fury. So that's probably in this realm over here. So the +3/+1 in scrying, or double strike copy, or protection. It's probably in that realm. Same thing with Strength of Arms over there. Same thing with Unleash Fury. Fiery Confluence is removal, which I don't necessarily, I'm not adding. That's probably all right, because the more token based that I go, this 1 damage to each creature becomes worse and worse. And this one's probably just more for like blocking. I like Heat Shimmer. It's a fun card in here. But Fiery Confluence is probably in that realm. All right, let's look at these. Strength to Arms is probably more comparable, just mana-wise, to Titan Strength. Allows me to get more aggressive, not necessarily worried about those tokens. All right, Twinferno. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets. So that would not stick around, which is fine-ish. It's kind of like a different type of like Boros Charm, maybe, if I think about it. Unleash Fury is nice because it allows me to be really aggressive. I think I like the idea of Titan Strength being replaced by Strength of Arms. I'm all right with that. Okay, so the protection is nice. It's pretty necessary. People aim for I like the drawing of the card. Oh, we'll keep Psychotic Fury, but I think we get rid of Unleash Fury. I think we put in the protection spell. Boon of Safety. I think we cut Twinferno. I don't think that makes it. Then we're looking at these. Shoot, I want these two in. Tajik's not comparable to these two. So let's go with like there. Dread Arcanist in. Yeah. Not throwing everything off too far. Looking pretty decent down a cheap. All right with that. I do want to go through and maybe find one more for the DRC. I don't want to disappoint Jesus if I can avoid it. And when was the last time anybody's played against Feather anyway, right? He's nowhere. Let's see here. Strength of Arms. Yeah, because if I'm cutting, I'm just not going to get that token. There's only like one equipment in here, maybe two. Swiftfoot. I don't even have Greaves in here. There we go. Took me a while to get there. The other thing that could be interesting is they don't really have. They have some all right like blink spells, but no like scry or draws attached to it. So that's the thing that's hurting it. All right, let's see here. Try and get DRC in there, and after that, we'll just cut it. We'll just move on. It's okay to move on. I'll keep it with everything else. I'm willing to just be like, yeah, that just goes. Yeah, nothing in there I'm worried about. All right, I do want to get DRC in there though. Let's see here. Veilstone Amulet is such a fun gotcha. Little Tower. Four more cards in the type. +2/+2 has flying and attacks each combo. All right. Guild Artist, Aria of Flame. Yes, I like that. Let's see here. I like Dread Horde. It is a nice blocker. Heat Shimmer could be something. Let's see here. Intimidation Bolt. Afraid this ain't gonna happen this time. All right. It is what it is. All right. Back up feather. Not too bad. Happy with them changes. Let's go. Let's go, Alela. I think we'll change this up a little bit too. All right. Alela is 1, a white, a blue, a black, 2/3 flying death touch lifelink. Whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. So 2 ones as long as Alela's in play. It's a wonderful deck. I enjoy it quite a bit. Let's talk about the cards that I want to try and fit in there. Big fan right now of Asha's Favor. Enchanted creature enchanted creature has flying, first strike, and vigilance. So the flying part obviously doesn't matter, but first strike and vigilance is pretty nice on Alela at a cheap rate. Also triggers it one time, pretty nice. Combat research also triggers for the token. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, and then if it's a legendary, put a 1/1 counter or a 1/1 and ward 1. So a little bit of protection, a little bit of a pump, and a little bit of draw, doing a lot there. Um, this is artifact based, even though we just talked about 2 auras right there. But Tezzeret, Artificer, and that's just there for the draw, basically, and or it's creating 2/1s since they're flying, and then it's just doing a lot in this deck. I kind of like it. Gravitational Shift allows me to be a little bit more aggressive with my flyers. It also triggers Alela, but +2/+0 to flyers and -2/-0 to non-flyers. I've had it burn me before. Like if you're in a dragon meta, it goes rough for you. All right, so just pay attention to what you're playing. And there's some 40k stuff in here too, which is a majority of it. But uh, Psychomancer, 1/1 flyer, artifact creature would trigger Alela. Whenever Psychomancer or another non-token artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So a nice little drainer. Uh, this one or Gravitational Shift? I'm not going to try and say that. The Traveler, 5 mana, 4/4 artifact triggers. Whenever it attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or graveyard by paying life equal to its mana cost rather than paying its mana cost. Okay. Might be a little expensive. How'd the Gravitational Shift do in the game? Did it make it hard? Make it hard? Yeah. Might be a little expensive. All right, this is one that I'm excited about. Biotransference, 4 mana enchantment. So it triggers Alela, but creatures you control are artifacts in addition to the other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and create a 2/2 black Necron or your artifact creature token. So, maybe it's just for creatures. I'm gonna have to see how many creatures in here are not artifact creatures, because that'd be a big thing. So we'll see, actually. It did well. It held off the others so I could win. Also didn't play it. Chronomancer, 2 mana, 1/1 artifact triggers flying. So it's 2 +1/+0. Sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. So it's a little bit of draw, a little bit of unearth. I don't hate it. We'll see where it fits, if it fits. Artifact creature, Necron Overlord, 2/5 for 4 mana. Pay X, tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target opponent loses X life. So a nice little reach there. Not too bad. Canoptic Spider, 4/4 flying artifact triggers. Also gets the +1/+0. Whenever another non-token artifact creature or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. We'll see how many we have in here. Might be worth it. Marnius Caligar, 5 mana, 3/5 double strike. Whenever One or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control. Draw a card. It's gonna this one's gonna draw me a bunch of cards, and then you can pay 6, create 2/2 white creature tokens with vigilance. So you get to draw a card off that as well. So that one I really hope can make it in. And they shall know no fear. Choose a creature type, fairies. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. I think that could maybe work in here. Inspiring leader. Commander creatures you own have creature tokens you control get +2/+2. So those fairies get an additional boost. And then another Tezzeret. Uh, Activated abilities of artifact you activate each turn cost 2 less to activate the first one. And then you can +1 it, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. You can -2 it, target artifact becomes an artifact creature. That part doesn't matter. And then -6, you get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. Not too shabby on that regard. All right, let's look at the deck and see if there's anything that goes in here. Talisman, ramp, reconnaissance is nice protection, but I don't know if it's actually needed in this deck. Other than like being able to leave things back. I like it like everywhere. Oh, I missed that one. All right, one more that might go in. 4 mana, artifact creature, triggers. Tap it, tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to create a 2/2 token, and then you can tap it, tap X untapped creatures you control, look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom, random. Reconnaissance has a shot. We'll see if we get rid of that. Grazilax is quite good. Like I love this card. Idol of Oblivion is nice token draw. Mycosynth Lattice is nice to turn everything into artifacts in this deck. Heliod's Intervention is nice removal. Shimmer Dragon is solid draw. I like it. And flying, so it gets that boost. Sword of the Meek for that little bit of Thopter combo thing going on is nice. Rise and Shine. Actually don't know how much that is needed. I still have a lot of artifacts in here. I don't have a lot of I'm alright with that. Coastal Piracy. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, draw a card. Nice protection with boots. Biden Athaso is drawing cards. Emery is bringing artifacts back from the graveyard, which is nice as well. All that glitters gets really big with Lattice. It's great. I didn't put Karn in here. Maybe I did. But I think I actually have Lattice and Karn and Oscar, and we'll probably see that next. I try and not do that in 2. Lattice is in here to do like this type of bump. All that glitters, every permanent that I have, it gives +1/+1. Also nice for a couple other pumps that we'll get to. Grand Architect is nice ramp for artifacts. Aura of Silence triggers and is nice removal. It slows everybody down. There is still a lot of enchantments in here though. Rumor Gather is probably going to draw me a card per turn. Spell Stutter Sprite is fairy pump, counterspell. Inspiring Statuary is nice to tap for manas. Mirror Maid is to copy something. I don't know. I'm not going to be worried about that. Vidalcan Archmage, whenever you cast an artifact, draw a card. Eldrazi Monument is there for protection and a pump. Anointed Procession doubles the amount of tokens that I'm making. Foundry Inspector lowers the amount of artifact costs. Talismans for ramp. Tezzeret, creatures and planeswalker spells you cast have affinity for artifacts, and that's all you need, but it also burns people. It's great. Rafine is there to draw a bunch of cards and discard a bunch of cards. I like it in this deck probably better than Tezzeret's. I'm not going to put Lattice and Karn in 2 of my decks. I'll do it once. I'm not going to do it twice. Urza is there for the ramp. And just Safara will use protection for my flyers, which is fantastic. Soul Guide Lantern is nice in there. Reconnaissance Mission is nice draw. Brilliant Restoration. Return all artifacts and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Do I even care about that? Like, I don't have a huge mill theme here. Um, I could potentially see a chop. Tezzeret is fantastic in here. Archetype of Courage, enchantment, it triggers, giving Alela first strike with the death touch is really good. Fanatical Devotion is there just to protect Alela. Is there anything else that might protect her better? Hmm. Regenerate target creature. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's hard to beat. Arcane Signets there for ramp. Esper Sentinel triggers and draws. Talisman for ramp. Smothering Tithe is hard to beat. Like I said, also triggers Alela. Sai is creating more tokens. Is there any token creators? Yee. Solomon's fantastic in here. That's nice. Chroma's Will is there as a closer. That's Copy Artifact is kind of nice as well. I don't know if I need the copies though. I might go check out Mirror Maid. Top, obviously. Let's see here. I don't know if we need that Mirror Maid in here. I don't. Mirror Maid actually might not be as bad because I can go for an enchantment as well. Artifact or enchantment. Yeah. I'm okay with that. All right. So cranial plating gets a nice boost from lattice. Skull clamp, run through them. Boom, boom. Ethereum sculptor. Leonine Sun Standard is a nice little pump for everybody. But maybe inspiring leader is potentially better. It's just less mana included. I'm right with that idea. Crashing Drawbridge, Ornithopter of Paradise, Starheim Courser. Nettle Cyst also gives that pump with Lattice, Soul Ring, Mox Opal. Radiant Grace probably should just get cut. I like the idea of it, but +1/+0 Vigilance, and whenever it dies, flip it. Player control, enter the battlefield tap. So it seems like a cool one, nice and cheap. I just don't know if it is something that I want to be doing here. Consulate Crackdown also works with Lattice. It just exiles everything. Sword of Vengeance is going to get cut for the Asha's Favor. I think that was always the plan. Carnival of Souls creates a lot of mana. Baleful Strix is Phanthopter, Foundry in there, and Spellskite. All right. I don't hate that bit. All right. I have two that I like to have go in. Let's see here. Let's relook a little bit. Biotransference. I think this on Rakir, the Traveler, I don't think that's going to work. I think that's too expensive. We don't need to do that. Combat Research, after relooking, I like it as like a protection thought, a little bit of a pump. But there's plenty of like Coastal Piracy type cards that just draw a ton of cards. But maybe it's just a better version of Radiant Grace. Maybe that's a thought. I don't hate that. This seems like a tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Let's see here. Yeah, we could probably cut that. Tezzeret. Whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. Well, that's not bad. 5/6. I just don't have many activated abilities of artifacts. I'm kind of getting right. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe that doesn't belong here. And they shall know no fear is a protection spot. So maybe similar to Connaissance. I'm okay with that idea. Like it's nice to have the blockers, but probably not necessary. I like the idea of Marnius Caligar in here. Whenever one or more tokens on them, yeah, because yeah, I like that quite a bit. That might be something that should. Chronomancer, sacrifice another artifact, draw a card. Nice and aggressive, but I don't. How meet. Whenever another non-token artifact, creature, or vehicle artifact. Oh, artifact creature. All right, the spider gets cut. Necron Overlord is 4 mana. Tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target opponent loses X life. I feel like another non-token artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the bat. That's also a meh. Meh. That's a bummer. I thought I was going to be putting a lot more of these 40k cards in here, but I don't think they really work in here. Gravitational Shift is maybe a nice aggressive play, but I don't think it makes it in here. Tezzeret creates flyers, draws me cards. At the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card. Put in, that could be decent too. So I think those 4. I wonder how many, like 1, 2, 3. That's an artifact creature. Artifact, I think it might be at least 50-50 now that we're looking at it. Let's see here. Wayfarer's Bauble. Nice aggressive bit. Tithe. Emery. Biden. Sword. Hey, Daniel. Thanks for joining, man. Fanatical Devotion. I still have a lot of enchantments in here, don't I? I don't hate it. Reconnaissance Mission, Soul Guide, Grazilax. All right. I'm going to keep Grazilax as well. Let's look at this a little bit more. All right. Creatures you control are artifacts in addition to the other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So that means like when I cast it, that should be able to trigger Alela. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, so whenever I cast like a creature, you lose 1 life and you create a 2/2 Black Necron Warrior artifact creature token, which is creating more tokens, which I like as well. I do like it. Rise and Shine, I think is nice. That's probably a better shift for Gravitational Shift, but I think let's cut that. That might be better in Refine anyway. Biotransference. I think that really works in here nicely. I think Brilliant Restoration is here just in case I get blown out. And it's probably smart to keep in just in case. Artifacts and enchantment cards. Yeah, I don't think I can get rid of that. I don't think I want to get rid of that. All right. So this will draw me a ton of cards. That Marnus Caligar. That just seems really good in here. It draws its own stuff. I'm okay getting rid of the copy artifact. It's a little bit more of an up. Just looking at like what we got going on here. cheaper. Is that something we want to be doing? Yeah. It's kind of nice just to be able to just put a ton in there and kind of do an overrun. I believe the copy artifact is Italian. Calvin, you did not miss Umbris. We'll probably do that on the back end, so probably another half hour. But if that's the request, I can do that next. So we can do Umbris after this. I'll set that up. There's no set order. I'm okay with this. I think I'm upping my CMC just a little bit in the deck. Cool. I'll probably still do Umbris next. And Tezzeret just might stay in. I like that Tezzeret creates a flyer, draws me a card. It just works in the deck. I like it. Margus. Let's start transferring this out. All right, we keep that on. Copy artifacts aren't cheap. So, but I actually was able to, back before all the craziness, I did a lot of digging through bulk boxes, and I was able to find I probably have at least like 4 to 6 copy artifacts, and bought them all for 50 cents a piece. Now they're a bit. No, it isn't a beta. It's it'd be what would it be? Like Renaissance or something? Or it'd be revised, Black Border revised. So it's more of a foreign Black Border style card. So but the Black Border, old school Black Border for old cards, they're gorgeous. A little bit darker around there. So if you have a chance, if somebody's like foreign Black Border and it's cheaper than what you can get it for, get it. I highly recommend that. All right, cutting that. Asha's Favors in. I do have a lot of enchantments in here. Yeah, I think keeping Brilliant Restoration was a good idea. Now here is a question. I think I'm going to keep Leonin Sun Standard because it's kind of a do nothing until you want to just load into it. Or this is just my tokens, and I have plenty of non-token creatures. I'm gonna keep it. We'll get rid of Inspiring Leader. All right, so adding these. I don't hate it. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find anything for the Tezzeret. I don't think I'm gonna find anything for Tezzeret, even though it does a lot. Yeah. Let's see here. Crowswell, Solemn, Sigh. I might be willing to get rid of Sigh because I am pretty heavy into enchantments more than I was thinking that I was, even though it's nice. We'll see. Goes the Piracy, Sword of the Meek, Shimmer. Do 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 do. Yeah, those all. I dig all those. Worried about upping my curve though. Mirror Maid was good. Foundry Inspector. Eldrazi Monument. Spellskite. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So I should take a good look at this. I think I'll get rid of Psy, even though I'm not a huge fan of thinking that way, just because of the curve. I'll probably check the curve later. I'll play it. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. All right. There we go. Let's see here. Get rid of that style. I'm gonna take a little drink. Let's see here. And let's do Umbris for Calvin next. Anybody except for some legends coming out for in Brothers War? Let's see what you got. I have one. I'm gonna try. It's a Bant one, and I'm gonna try and not draw any cards in the deck. I just want to play from the graveyard and play off the top of the library, and we'll see how bad that is. All right. Let's see here. Umbris, 3 black, black and a blue. It's a 1/1. Umbris Fear Manifest gets +1/+1. Sandwell. I don't know the names quite yet, so let me know what you're thinking. Yes, I know the Rakdos Mishra. Taunos the Toymaker. Is that the Toymaker? Because there's a couple different. Is that the green blue one, Calvin? But that Rakdos Mishra looks crazy. That's going in Ishin right away. I know that one. So +1/+1 for each card in your opponent's own in exile, and then whenever Umbris or another nightmare or horror enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a land card. Birds and beasts. Yeah, simming. All right, that's what I thought. It was a mono white tap untap. Yep. Is the one that people are talking about with Thanos? Oh no, okay. The green blue Thanos. Okay, because there's 2. There's at least like an Esper version in the pre-con as well. Everybody's like a Taunos. All right, I hope to see one Taunos list um in the deck channel on Discord. All right, that's on you guys. All right, but basically, Umbris list is in horrors and nightmares, and trying to get Umbris huge to just one shot people. And let's see what else. One thing that I do notice is that it's fairly targeted. People go after it. They don't like having big creatures. They don't like losing their library. I don't think I've ever milled anybody out or got rid of their library or whatever. But he definitely can get huge. Um all right, we have one. Let's go here. All right, Braids, a Risen Nightmare. 3/3 for 3. This is Adam's commander deck, but he is a nightmare. Or she is a nightmare. And at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So it's there just to be a nightmare with the potential to draw some cards, but it doesn't have to trigger either. It's not what this deck is doing. But I was noticing that I need a little bit more card draw. Altar of Dementia is there just as like a sack outlet because people do, get rid of it. But if Umbris is at, 15/15 and milling 15, that feels like it could be something. Yeah. Adam's Braids deck is solid. Solid AF. Minions Murmurs is just another way that I've been thinking about trying to address the card run here. I draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of creatures you control. I don't go crazy with the amount of creatures, and so it'd be probably like 4 mana, draw 4, lose 4. So we'll see. I'll have to think about it a bit. A Defiler of Flesh, 4 mana horror. 4/4 menace, and then I can pay 2 life for black permanent spells, and then it is for a black. And then whenever you cast a black permanent spell, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains menace until end of turn. That part I don't really care about, but the horror and the mana acceleration in here should be nice. All right, 40K is asking if my thoughts on Transformers, both in MTG and or out of it. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I like the Defiler cycle. They're a little harder to play with than I anticipated, but I thought with it being a horror in here. Transformers, I'm gonna be honest. I There was so much reading on it, I didn't even care for them at this point. I'd have to, if I get one, I'll probably read through it, and if I'm looking through cards, but right off the bat, I was just like, "There's a bunch of them," and I didn't didn't really read through them. I'm gonna be honest. And then the other thing, in real life, they're a fucking mess. They're so goddamn hard to like play with. My son has a couple, and he's like, "How do I do this?" I'm like, "I don't know." So that's the good. They're fun cartoons and they're fun movies. But I don't know if I'm smart enough to play with the toys. I never had them growing up, so I probably didn't make those brain connections when I was a kid. So all right. This vile duplication, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except the token has flying and it's legendary and isn't legendary if that creature is legendary. So it's there just to make another copy of Umbris, and has flying. It's pretty nice. All right, so this is a protection part, but haunted one is a legendary background. So commander creatures you own have whenever this creature becomes tapped. It and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it each get +2/+0 and gain undying until end of turn. So I can be much more aggressive with the nightmares and horrors and attack. And if they die, they come back because of the undying, because I'm going to be attacking with Umbris more than likely. So that's just kind of a thought. Or they can sit back and be able to block and be able to come back and trigger Umbris again. So I was thinking that could work there. And I think I tried this last time. I'm a little bit this time. Illithid Harvester. Adventure. Tap X target creatures. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. And then it's also a horror. And then when it ETBs, turn any number of target tapped non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 horror creatures. And so it's kind of removal on your opponent's stuff. And then just brainstorm to draw card selection, stuff like that. All right, let's go through the deck and see what I can potentially cut or bring back in. Ashiok is great removal for everybody's, my opponent's graveyards, and it's just, milling them for and removing their graveyard is like giving +4/+4 to Umbris. It's pretty good. And then it's just a great hate card. Sword of Hearth and Home, +2/+2, pro green and white. And then whenever it deals damage, blink one of your creatures to exile more and get more land. It works. Leave yeah, Ashiok's pretty good in here. I think I have 2 in here, not all of them. Web of Inertia. At the beginning of each opponent's combat phase, that player may remove a card in his or her graveyard from the game. That player doesn't, creatures he or she controls can't attack you this turn. So either they're making Umbris bigger or not attacking you. So it's a cool one in here. Black Market Connection gives you land, draw, and a horror coming into play. It does everything you need. It does work. It is a little expensive, but it's solid. Panharmonicon will double the Umbris trigger. Yarok's Fenlurker is cheap horror that has an ETB of exiling cards from their hand. The pump part doesn't really matter, but just being cheap ETB, it's nice. Doom Weaver is there to soul bond. It's a nice blocker. 6 man is a little bit, but As long as Doomweaver is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature dies, draw cards equal to its power. Umbris can get huge. It's a horror, and so you should be able to draw a bunch of cards as people are aiming for Umbris. Sculptor of Fear, Nightmare Muse, and Dream Render, all good Ashios. Okay. Do you happen to have Sir Conrad in there? I know he isn't a horror, but it seems like it would be good. I don't have Sir Conrad in here. I'm not necessarily worried about I'm not thinking about the one damage and how that happens, but because this isn't really a mill deck, this is more of like exile focused. And so a lot of cards they just don't go to the graveyard. Phyrexian Rager is a horror that draws you a card. Gravestorm, at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent may remove a card, and if they don't, you get to draw a card. So not a bad. It's on theme, stuff like that. Also, foil is fucking amazing. All right, Cloudstone Curio is there. Whenever a non-artifact permanent comes into play under your control, you may return another permanent you control. So it's kind of being able to juggle your nightmare horrors, be able to trigger Umbris enough times. Felwar Stone ramp, Alela Spawn horror. It's just allows, if somebody plays Wood Elves, you get that effect. It's hard to remove. It's a really good horror as well. Dread Presence is quite good actually in this deck. Dread Presence is, I almost always go, whenever a swamp enters the battlefield, draw a card, lose a life, but it can also be removal if needed. But with the Sword of Hearth and Home and Sword of the Animist, I'm able to just go and get swamps and just draw cards off of it. It's quite nice. Hullbreaker Horror isn't nice. It's fantastic horror. If you don't have it, go get it. It's cheaper right now because it was in the pre-con. Grell Philosopher. Let's see here. When Grell Philosopher enters the battlefield, at the beginning of your upkeep, each horror you control gains all activated abilities. Yeah, so it's just kind of like a random utility thing. All activated abilities, a target artifact an opponent controls until end of turn. You may spend blue mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. Yeah, dope. Sakashima is there to copy Umbris, Sire of Stagnation. Whenever they have landfall, they exile the top two, you draw two. I love it. All right, Thing in the Ice is just a cool horror. This does not trigger a whole ton, I will admit that, but it's a nice cheap blocker at the beginning. We can set that off to the side. But Thing in the Ice is a crazy good card if you're playing enough instants and sorceries, which I do not. Phyrexian Obliterator, great removal, great horror. Kuruk also, it is a horror and it's basically ramp for life, so it's good. Boots is no protection. Sort of the Animus goes and gets swamps, like I was talking about earlier. It's great ramp in this kind of deck. Spellskite is great protection, also being a horror. I play Spellskite a lot more than most people, but it's a fantastic card in here. Psionic Ritual. Pay 6, tap and untap horror you control, plenty of them. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So it's kind of like, it's the only deck I'll ever play it in. And you get to play a bunch of random spells, which can be kind of fun. It's not like stealing, so it's not as hard over the internet, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like stealing stuff, like people's permanents, but just having things go off is kind of cool. Signet for ramp, top as always, ring, yeah, Lantern of the Lost, graveyard removal with a little bit of draw on it. Stinging Study is quite good in here as well, but it's drawing 5, losing 5. Ghost Rider is a card selection horror. Phyrexian Reclamation is solid, just being able to get those creatures back. Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of the library, so it's already there to exiling things, but then for each land that is exiled, you get to put into play under your control. That's crazy good. Chupacabra is a horror removal. Deadly Rollick is exile removal for free. Chasm Skulker is a good horror. Yeah, I dig it. Spark Double, again, doubling up on Umbris. So if there's two of them in play and you play another horror that triggers, it's pretty cool. Toxic Deluge is fantastic removal because you'll always Umbris is going to be the biggest creature. And so you can just go up to whatever the highest creature that is not Umbris and kill everything. Greaves is fantastic. Aether Spouts is here. For each attacking creature, its owner puts it on the top or bottom of his or her library. Now, if they put it on top, which more than likely they won't, like if they stack everything on top because they just want those creatures, and you cast a horror, it's going to exile until you hit that land. And so they almost have to not put it on top. So that might not work. I'm willing to bin that. All right, preordain, read the bones. Thassa's there just for a little bit of card selection and making Umbris unblockable. Makes sense to me. All right. Let's see here. Protective Bubble is sweet. Shroud and unblockable on Umbris. Doom Whisper is a nice card selection. Nightmare. Ponder for draw. Netherborn Phalanx. It's a horror. ET. Everybody loses a life for controls. Like I said, this doesn't have a ton of creatures, so it shouldn't hurt you as bad. Oh, it's each opponent anyway. Also, it has transmute, so a little bit of a Falthus. I don't know. I had it in here. Falthus is a nightmare that gives uh what Death Touch and Menace to Umbris. I think I think I got it, but I'm almost done here. Grazalak is a horror that draws me cards. Talisman for draw. Foul Watcher, Nightmare. It's cheap. A little bit of an ETB, like card selection with the Surveil. It works. Shadow Spear on Umbris is quite good. Quite good. Wharf Infiltrator. Um, 1/1 Skull, could draw a card, discard a card if it deals damage. And then it also, if I discard a creature card, it creates a horror token if I pay 2. So it kind of works. I think it's just in there more because it's cheap. Arcane Signet for that. Uchalon creates tokens of itself, which is a horror, and that's nice to have a little bit of an engine there. Tasha's Hideous Laughter generally gets Umbris at a kill, so but it's just exiling cards. Curse of the Swine is nice removal because it exiles, which adds to Umbris's thing. Creates a bunch of 2/2s, but whatever. Endless Evil. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature, except it's a token. So continuing to create nightmare tokens is pretty nice. Zelix is a horror. Whenever a player mills one or more creature cards, you create a 1/1 black horror creature token. One or more. Target player mills 3 cards. So, like I said, I don't have a lot of mill. It's nice that it creates a horror token, and it also kind of like works with itself. I think it's probably worth working with. Leyline of the Void is maybe something I'm like I said, I don't have a lot of mill, but it's nice just because like when creatures die, they go away. When people cast instants or sorceries, it goes away. But it is just slot, and I'd rather have something like Soul Guide Lantern that draws me a card. Ashiok, we'll look at that. Yeah, Sakashima, Mind Stone is nice. Just and then I have Ashiok Nightmare Muse. So I did get rid of Falthus. I do have 2 Ashioks in here. But it's a pretty tight list. Let's see here. All right. So what are the cards that I really like? I like Braids. I like Defiler. I like the token, Sorcerer token. I like Haunted One. Is that something that I care about? I still really like the idea of Alter, but it's not it's not really doing what I'm doing. It's just like, yeah, Minions Murmurs. I think we can just cut these two. I'm okay with that idea. All right. And I'm also okay cutting Brainstorm at this point. So I think all of these work. Um, Illithid Harvester probably gives me a turn where I can get through with Umbris. So a little bit of like unblockability and then potentially turning them into 2/2 horrors. I don't think I have Tasha the Planeswalker. I don't even know if I know what that card is. I might have to check that out, but I don't own it. I for sure don't own it. And so as a removal bit, it might be a nice replacement for Aether Spouts, and then it also allows me to have another horror in here. And maybe I'm just mad at Aether Spouts for basically destroying my Jedit deck the other day. There. All right. The other thought, Thing in the Ice. Let's go with something cheaper. So either Haunted One or Braids. I think we can cut 3/3 versus 4/4. There's the potential. I think we go with Braids because it is nice, like removal slash draw. I'm okay with both those thoughts right there. Oh, is that the okay? Okay. You know what? I don't think I definitely don't own that one. I might regret not putting Leyline or keeping Leyline of the Void in here, but it's kind of a dead card if you draw it. But it's really nice if it goes into free. Um, I think I'm going to go with Ramp here on that one. I'm all right with that. Okay, so protection and another copy of Umbris. Let's go through one more time and then see if we can add anything. All right, so let's see here. Yeah. Zelix. Endless Evil is nice. Enchanted creature dies. If that creature was a horror, return it to your hand. I like Endless Evil in here. Curse of the Swine is solid. Tasha's, yeah. All right, let's look what this Uchulon is doing. 4 mana, equal to the number of crabs, oozes, and horrors you control. So it's aight. And then at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature card from an opponent's graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. I like that part where it's just kind of like, but maybe that part doesn't matter either because I'm getting rid of graveyards. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. All right. I think that's probably a good candidate to just add in another Umbris there. All right. Haunted One. Let's force this one in here. Orf, Infiltrator, Shadow Spear, Foul Watcher, nice and cheap. Talisman, Grazilax, Netherborn, Ponder, Doom, Thassa. I think that's still good. I think you're still good, right? Right? All right. Preordain, Read the Bones, Lightning Greaves, Toxic. What are your thoughts on this, Calvin, if you're still around? Chasm Skulker still seems solid. I'd like this stuff to be able to come back though. Let's see here. Yeesh. Mm, maybe that's something that I'm ho hum. I like that it's an 04, but being able to protect is kind of nice. I'll reread that. Dread Presence has been really nice. Aboleth, Felwar, Cloudstone Curio. I don't think I've drawn it since I've put it in, but it's kind of like a different version of Haunted One, like a little bit of juggling, having things come in and out. Doomweaver. I'm running with that. It's a little expensive, right? Yarok, Fenlurker. I like that it snags somebody's hand. Black Market. I like that. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's read through Grell one more time. 1-4. When Grell enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each horror you control gains all activated abilities of target artifacts and opponent controls until end of turn. You may spend blue mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities, but basically being able to turn like horrors into into a ramp spell. Like that's the main thing there, right? All right. Start switching this stuff out. I like the idea of Haunted One. I don't have many tribal decks. And this is pretty thin, but I think it still works. Yeah. The Thune would be nice. I think that, but I think it's hard to argue against having multiple Umbrises on board. Let's see here. I'm going to be excited to have Braids in here. Let's see here. Spouts. Yeah. I think that's going to be it for Umbris. Not doing too bad. All right. I think we're going to hit that 2 hours. Not too shabby. All right, Oscar. Go get a quick drink. All right. Oscar. 2, a red and a white, a 4/4, vigilance, pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then you can pay X, tap it, exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. I like this dude. One problem that I'm remembering that I've had is that it draws a whole ton and it has a lot of cheap artifacts, but it just kind of spins its wheels and doesn't have enough of a payoff or not enough payoffs. So we'll look to at least add a little bit more, or I don't know, slow it down or speed it up. I'm not quite sure. So this first batch is going to be like 2 mana artifacts that ETB to have an effect, and then when they leave, have an effect. So Servo Schematic, 2 mana artifact. When it ETBs or is put into a graveyard, create a 1/1 colorless. So that's all it's doing. Nimberite Schematic. This one is whenever it ETBs or is put in the graveyard, create another 1/1 construct artifact creature token. So just tokens right there. Mycosynth Wellspring is the same thing, but with land. And then Prize Statue is the same thing, but treasures. Let's see here. Know what we're doing? All right. Karn Living Legacy. 4 mana, 4 loyalty. +1, create a tapped Power Stone token. -1, pay an amount of mana. Look at that many cards from the top of your library, then put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then -7, you get an emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. So really, it's trying to, +1 it 3 times and then ultimate it, and then you should be able to kind of win the game. I might actually want this in a different deck than I'm kind of thinking about. I think we'll cut that right now. All right. Inscribe tablet. 1 artifact, pay 1, tap it, sack it, and then look at the top 5 cards. Put a land in your hand from among them if you want, and if you don't, you can draw a card. So not too bad. Sacks itself. It works. It's all right. I like it so far. Yosha declares war. 2 mana. All right. So first chapter, create an O2 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying named Ornithopter. Second chapter, tap any number of untapped artifacts you control. When you do, it deals damage equal to the to target creature or planeswalker. And then third chapter, up to 1 target artifact you control becomes a creature with power base 4/4 until end of turn. So I think I'm more here. That's just kind of removal on a creature or planeswalker. I don't know if I care about that. All right. Yeah, I think we cut that. All right. Ingenious Artillerist. 3 mana, 3/1. Whenever one or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So solid. Defenders of Humanity. Enchantment. Whenever Defenders of Humanity enters the battlefield, create X 2/2 warrior creature tokens with vigilance, and then pay 3 and X. Exile Defenders of Humanity. Create X 2/2 warrior creature tokens with vigilance. Activate only if you control no creatures and only during your turn. Why is this here? I don't think this is in the right pile. I don't know if that makes any sense to me. And then Vexilus Praetor, 4 mana, 3/4 flash vigilance. Commanders you control have protection from everything. So if I plop this down, Oscar is hard to remove, but also I can just pump Oscar and he's unblockable as well. Um, with sacrificing artifacts and whatnot. So I think that's kind of a cool shot in here. Defenders of Humanity. I'm not even sure why that's here. Um, yeah, I can't tell you why that was there. I don't even know where it'd go. All right. So let's see if we can fit those kind of into the deck. They all seem reasonable. Vexilus is whatever, but I do kind of like the idea of it. All right. Anointed Possession will, instead of 2 tokens coming into play with Oscar, it's going to be 4. It's pretty good. Hellkite Tyrant. Whenever Hellkite Tyrant, one thing, I have a lot of lattice work in here as well, just like with Alela, but you know, lay down lattice, Hellkite Tyrant steals all of their stuff. It's kind of game over for them. It's pretty nice. Smothering Tithe is just fantastic ramp. We've already talked about that. Alhemrite's Archive. And this is here because I have a lot of cantrips. And so this allows me to draw 1 more card. It's weak-ish. We'll see. It's also kind of nice, I'll admit. Ichor Wellspring, it's just like those first 4 that we talked about. It's great. Mystic Forge is fantastic here. Lotus Petal is great and great to have Oscar copy it. Goblin Welder is also nice. It's it's crazy good. Chandra's Ignition is there to basically pump up, a creature or Oscar, and then target Chandra's Ignition, blow up everything. Soul Ring, Angel of the Ruins is very good in here as well. Yeah, Panharmonica and everything kind of has an ETB. Mishra's Bauble is solid. Yeah, Protection, Dispatch is great. Arkham's Astrolab is great. They're all snow basics. So it's just cheap draw. That's basically all it is. Like the cantrip part, and so Archive works nicely with it. Boots for protection. Lattice, like I said, was in here. Cursed Mirror is a nice ETB. I don't think there's anything that really is looking to take over that. Treasure Nabber steals all the lands with Lattice. It's very good. Mox Opal is great. Dockside. Karn with Lattice locks everybody out of their land. It's quite good. Burrow's Charm there for protection. Everything gains. Let's see here. Permanents you control. Yeah. Okay. Wayfarer's Bauble is great. Ramp. Illusionist Bracer. When you're bringing those artifacts back, instead of 2, you're making 4 or whatever. Quite good. Bronze Guardian is kind of there because it gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, or +1/+0, and then it gives all the artifacts Ward 2. Has double strike. It can get real aggressive. Investigator's Journal. This is one of those that I think I'm just going to get rid of. So that'll be replaced by one of these 2. Hellkite Igniter gets real aggressive real quick. Still, Hellkite is nice removal, also an artifact. Talisman for ramp, generous gift for removal. Mindstone is great in here. Ugin's Nexus is taking extra turns. Looks like I'm not playing a lot of instants. Urbrask would probably be good. You know what? You're probably right. But since it's you, I'm not going to put it in here. Goblin Engineer is nice. Graves, Consulate Crackdown is another one that just exiles everything with Lattice in play. Signet, Chaos Warp, Sleeper Dart's kind of fun. So that ETBs draws cards, stops creatures from untapping, and kind of slows people down. It's nice. Karn here is kind of creating tokens that allow you to. That's a little bit of draw. It's kind of weak. I'm okay with it calling it weak. Pull from Eternity is there almost exclusively for Ugin's Nexus. So I don't have a problem with that. Oswald Fiddlebender is there. Just it is a tutor, and I'm not super pleased with it. But it's there just like as another sack outlet for instead of just Oscar, like leaning into that. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I like it or not anyway, but Idol of Oblivion, Oscar's creating tokens, draw cards, also an artifact, so like just multiplies itself. Path is great. Soul Guide Lantern is drawing in great. Rings of Bright Hearth doubles the amount of the tokens coming into play with Oscar. Solemn is great. Tibalt's Trickery, yeah. Ornithopter Paradise, Esper, Wedding Invitation, ETBs draw a card, sacrifice it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. If it's a vampire, yeah. I don't hate it, but it sacrifices itself, so I don't have to like pay the one and do that kind of crap. I think it's at least interesting. Gains life. Yeah. It kind of makes one of your creatures unblockable, which I'm down with. Crashing, Reckless Fireweaver, Search the Premises is pretty nice. Vandal Blast works with Lattice like a gem. Swords, 1,000-Year Elixir. That's a decent question. Giving Oscar the ability like to tap right away. questionable. I'm alright with that. Faithless Looting is nice little cheap cantrip draw. Leonin Elder draws a lot of cards. Sculpting Steel is whatever. Oh, Treasure Vault is a land, whatever. Sparring Statuary does a lot of work in here. All right. Sculpting Steel, I'm willing to say is questionable. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that we want to work with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are here. All right. Let's. I think we know that those. Sculpting Steel has been quite nice. Investigator's Journal, I'm okay getting rid of. Let's go with Prized Statue. The treasures. Treasures right. Alright. Let's. Sheesh. All right, so I think I'm going to cut the archive and just add in the protection for this is I like the idea of the damage going, but he can't block. That's the part that sucks. Being a 3/1 kind of sucks. Reckless Fireweaver, which is fucking better. I don't want to change the deck. That's what it's feeling like. All right. I think I'm all right with this. Vexilus with Elhamrite. Ugh. Hmm. 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 Let's just try and get these two guys in there. All right. So are we going wide? Is that what we're doing? And they have the mana. Are we just, I think we're gonna get sloppy. At the end of the night, we're just like, let's finish this up. Let's finish this up. Get the tokens. A little worried about it. I think I like 1,000-Year Elixir. I think I like that in here. Just being able to untap it and do it again. All right, what's Oswald do? Sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put it into the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. Sorcery. Don't hate either of these. Sculpting Steel is nice. Sure. I think we keep Sculpting Steel. All right, we're not doing well here. 1, 2, 3. I want the servo schematic in there. I like inscribed tablet. I'm okay. All right. Let's go through this one more time. Not helping myself. Sculpting Steel. Oswald. We'll keep Oswald. I think I kind of need that. 1,000-Year Elixir. Inspiring Statuary. Leonin Elder. Faithless. Search. Vandal. Crashing. Like that. Yeah. I like that because it's just not going to be played a whole ton. All right. Esper. Yep. Good. That's good to hear. We'll have to see what you work on, Paul. It's always so enjoyable. It's something that I really like, and so, uh, I don't know if it's frustrating for other people, but it's something that's really nice in my opinion. Activated abilities, maybe. Yeah, yeah, that doubles up. Just wanna make sure. Hmm. Pull, Sleeper Dart, Arcane, Lightning Greaves, Goblin Engineer, yeah. Mind Stone, Generous Gifts. Illusionist Bracers. I wish Oscar was blue so bad. This would be a Tezzeret deck for sure. Oh, Hoffrey. Hoffrey's the one. Yeah, he's the red white from Strixhaven. I've eyed him up a couple times. He's pretty sweet. I haven't played him, so but good luck to you on that. Illusions Bracers. I like that. Bronze Guardian. Bobble. Yeah. Karn just locks everything down. Oh noes. I'm gonna have to rethink some of this stuff here. Mox Opal. Treasure Nap Premier. Premier is meh. I mean, it's good. Don't have anything huge. Well, I got some stuff that I can. All right. Swiftfoot Boots. Astrolab. Dispatch. DeFury. Mishra's Bobble. Panharmonicon. Angel of Ruins. Soul Ring. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Goblin Welder worth it? That's crazy talk. That's crazy. Legit crazy. Shoot. I don't think there's anything else I want to get rid of. All right, let's re-eye up this. I think the ramp ones are good. So I'm cool with Pride Statue. I'm cool with Lattice. But do I want the tokens instead of Hemorrhoids? Or is this something that's like add that in? The Praetor just to make Oscar really a lot harder to kill. That probably makes sense to me. That's a bummer. Kind of a bummer. All right, that's fine. All right, I think that's it. Threatened theme? Oh, so you're stealing stuff? Arabraskis is a Praetor. I know Arabraskis is a Praetor. You don't think I know that? Kind of might regret getting rid of Urza or Karn here. Like he's solid when it comes to like just getting a big old fat boy down, but it's all right. I think that's all right. Well, I want to say thanks to everybody coming out. Remember to hit that like button. If you haven't, subscribe. It's a lot of help. And let's see here. Yeah. Did a lot of good work here. I'm glad that I got that kind of done. We should be doing the podcast here in the next couple of days to try and catch up. Next, I've already kind of talked about that. And yeah, just want to say thanks for listening. Hopefully, y'all have a good night.